We're making butter tortillas today, and I promise you, after you watch this video, you're never going to buy grocery store tortillas ever again because it is so easy. It's just a few ingredients and you can freeze it, which is what I'm gonna do today. I'm going to show you how I'm gonna freeze them, and you can actually cook them straight from the freezer. You don't have to wait for them to thaw out. It's such an easy recipe, and trust me, you can absolutely tell the difference. The reason I like to prep this in advance is because you do have to let it sit for 20 to 30 minutes, just so that way it can soften. Another thing I love about this recipe is you don't need yeast. That's amazing. You just let the flour, water, and baking powder do its thing. So let's get started. We're gonna use all-purpose bread flour, warm water, and I'm using butter. If you don't wanna use butter, then you can use oil. That's also a really good idea. The butter gives it such an enhanced, rich flavor, and it also goldens beautifully whenever we cook it on the skillet. We're gonna wanna melt the butter, 4 tablespoons of butter in 1 cup of warm water. And I already have the water warm, but let's go ahead and just put our butter in the water and let it melt. While that's melting, I'm gonna go ahead and blend in my dry ingredients. I'm gonna pop this in the microwave. It'll melt. We don't want it to get too hot, so I'm just gonna set this to the side. 1 teaspoon of baking powder in your flour. And 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, fine salt. I like to use a whisk when mixing all of my ingredients together. I feel like it really does give it a consistent mixture. One time I just had it all on top and then just started mixing it, and I just didn't feel like it mixed the way it should. So now I kind of do it this way. Another thing you can do, instead of using water, you can use milk. It'll also give your butter tortillas just another level of enhancing the flavor. Maybe in the next recipe, I'll go ahead and use milk, but for now, just butter and water really does have such an amazing flavor. So now that I've melted my butter in my water, I'm gonna go ahead and pour it in my mixture. I have made this mistake before. I have used the whisk to mix it. Don't do that. You can get yourself one of these or a bread mixer. I'll just go back to my wooden spoon, because then once they're it's all blended together, at that point, we're gonna go in with our hands. Flour if it's a little too on the sticky side. Now that we have a ball formed and it's not totally sticking to our hands anymore, it's gonna be very, very soft. It's still a little bit sticky, but not as bad. And as you could see, I did have to add in more flour, but that is okay. So you want it to get to the point where it's a nice little ball, but it's not sticking to your hands anymore. Your hands are coming out clean as can be. See why we took off our rings? So now just kind of form it into a little ball, giving it structure. We're going to put her back into the bowl. I'm gonna sprinkle some flour so it doesn't stick too bad. And we are going to put a little flour on top. How about these super cute bowl covers? They look like they would go on your head or something, a shower cap, but they just fit perfectly over the bowl like that. How cute is that? There's so many different fabrics or different patterns. I ended up getting with the light floral ones, but there's so many to choose from. I got it on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description if you want to buy it. I love them. They have so many different sizes, but this fits this bowl, so I'm gonna keep them in here. And I'm gonna set this on the counter for about 20 minutes, just to let everything kind of hang out for a minute, and then we're gonna come back and we're going to start forming smaller little tortilla balls and start flattening them. It's been about 20 minutes, just resting at room temperature, and we're not expecting this to rise or anything. Again, we didn't put yeast, but we are looking for it to be on the firmer side. And when I poke my finger, you can definitely see how it kind of bounces a little bit. So now what we're gonna do is form little balls and let it rest for another 10 more minutes. I know it might seem like a lot of work in the very beginning, but I promise it's worth it, especially if we're gonna make a bunch and freeze it. You're always gonna have fresh flour tortillas. You're gonna take it and you're gonna pinch little size dough balls, just like that. It really all depends on how big you want your tortillas. And I kinda like to knead them a little bit, roll them up, and then you're gonna put them back in your bowl. Now we have our little tortilla balls. We need to let them sit for another 10 more minutes, and then we get to press them. We are back. We are ready to make our tortillas. Now remember, I'm prepping this for another time. I'm gonna be freezing them. So I'm gonna line them in parchment paper and put them in a Ziploc bag or a vacuum sealed bag and put them right into my freezer. If you don't have a tortilla presser, which most tortilla pressers, it is recommended that you wrap them with saran wrap also, but just look around your kitchen and see what do you have. If you don't have a rolling pin, you could use 2 plates like I'm going to do. My plates, actually, I'm fortunate, is that they are flat, very light coat. And this is just so that way it doesn't stick. And it works really well. Also, I really like my small plates because it helps me with the size of my tortillas to try to make sure everything is the same size and dimensional. It just looks prettier. And then take your flour, drizzle it in top, just so it's nice and coated. We're ready. So we have our balls, our dough balls that have been resting for about 10 minutes. You can also do this on the counter. You don't need to do this on a plate. That's totally fine. I just like to use the plate because it helps me try to keep my tortillas all the same size. And if it's springy, it probably needs to rest a little bit more. And that's why having these prepped in advance is so nice, because if you're hungry, it's really hard to wait for the tortillas to get their act together. I wouldn't exactly call this the perfect tortilla, but it's pretty close. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my parchment paper. I like to add a little extra flour as well so it doesn't stick, and then take your second parchment paper and line it on top. And with your second plate, and then set to the side, and then just repeat until you're done. If you plan ahead and you prep this in advance, I promise it's going to save you time in the long run. It's so much better for you. It's fewer ingredients in the processed tortillas on the shelf at the grocery store, and there's so much flavor in these tortillas. By the way, if you don't have one of these guys, you absolutely need to get one. There's a link in my Amazon storefront. This is the Chef Preserve brand. I have used the Zwilling brand and the Chef Preserve brand, and this is my favorite. It fits in your cabinet, it fits in your drawer. It is so compact and it has a lot of power, and it's rechargeable. These bags are Chef Preserve bags, and you just pop this off and press the button, and you will see how it just sucks all the air right on out. Hear that? So satisfying. We have all of our tortillas. This is why it's so important to line it with parchment paper, because they will stick together, and that would be a big bummer. So now that they're lined, they are flattened, they are perfect, ready to be stored. I'm gonna put them in my freezer, and when I'm ready to eat, I just pull however many I want and throw them right on the skillet. Thanks for watching today's video with me. My name is Priscilla, this is King Your Kitchen, and I will see you in the next recipe, but don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.